RPGaDay 2018. Today is day 15. Describe a tricky RPG experience that you enjoyed. So I think I talked a couple of days ago, I talked about setting myself challenges, and I think this is something that I like to do. I like to find a part of my gaming where I think, I'm good at doing these things, I'm not so good at doing that thing, or I've got no experience of doing that thing very often. And then I pick out that thing that I'm not very good at and try and work out how to run a game that will push me to do that. I recently ran a Call of Cthulhu campaign called Curse of Nineveh, which was set in 1920s London, and that was quite interesting. One of the key things for me that was interesting was I live in London. I've spent my whole life living in London, and so have my players. So it's a city that we know, it's a real world area, and that means that you've got to approach it in a slightly different way. And the other thing that I found really tricky and really interesting with it is it's very, very open world. I mean, RPGs are always open world, but quite often I play in tombs or in dungeons. I talked about this. I tend to try and restrict where the players are, or they end up on a borderlands where there's some villages about and then there's stuff going on in between. In London, in the 1920s, you can go anywhere, you can talk to anyone, you can go outside of the town, you could go anywhere in the country if you wanted to. Luckily, they didn't do that. We had a couple of things, I think, outside of London, but mostly we stayed in London. But it's got a very different feel, and it requires a different set of skills. And I really, really enjoyed trying to think about what London was like, and then create a picture of what London was like for them to play in, and make it feel like London, and not hedge them in, let them do anything they wanted to do. And that was pretty good. What I'm doing at the moment, I've got a small Leagues of Adventure game that I'm running on and off for my brother and one of our mates. And with that, we've set it in 1895 in London. It's largely in Shadwell and Limehouse. So I watched the Sherlock Holmes movies, the Robert Downey Jr. ones, and thought, okay, that's the palette that I want, that's the vibe I want these to have. And then I tried to build a mystery in London with the minimal building blocks that I can. So I know where the bodies will be found, when they will be found, why they're there, who's killed them, why they've been killed, and what's behind it. And the people that have done those things, I've got a good idea of why, and I've got characterizations for those people. But I'm trying to run the game improvising as much as possible. I mean, improvising with preparation, not just sort of going in with no idea of what's going to happen. But that's been a really interesting experiment, and quite stretching, because you're constantly making things up, but you're trying to make it all work, and you're trying to remember what's going on with it. That's been a tricky situation. So far, it's worked really well. The players are enjoying it. My son came back from uni. He's played a couple of sessions of it. I don't think we're going to have it finished before he goes back. But it's been really good, and it's a different way of playing. Looking ahead, what I'd really like to do is run Space 1889, and that is an incredibly deep setting. It's got lots of political factions, it's got lots of different cultures, it's got an awful lot to hold on to, and that is going to be a real challenge to run. And it's taking what I've been learning now, that's going to be the next step on from that. And I think it should be really good. I'm really hoping it will work, and it will be a lot of fun. but it's almost one of the reasons why I'm running the Leagues of Gothic Horror game that I am, sorry, Leagues of Adventure game that I am, is because I want to be able to run Space 1889, so this is a stepping stone to getting to there. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.